Hello and welcome to the Cathedral Check-In. My name is Donald Hunt and I'm the Director of Music here at Christchurch Cathedral. With me is Kyron Basu and Isolde Roberts-Welby, two choral scholars. So we know that as Anglicans, choral music is particularly important to us in terms of the way in which we encounter the divine. And our choral scholarship program here is one important way that we can pass that on to the next generation. But also during this pandemic, we've been so fortunate to have our choral scholars around because through them, that's enabled us to carry on our offering of wonderful music every week throughout the pandemic since last March. Can't believe it's been a year already, eh? So I'll start with you, Kyron. You recently graduated from UVic with a Master Music and Voice performance. What have you, well, but first of all, why don't you tell us what was, because I went to your graduating recital, which was, I've never seen anything quite like it before. Maybe you can tell us a bit about it.
Sure. So actually, I think the reason you might not have seen anything quite like it was it actually wasn't a master's in vocal performance. It was musicology with performance, which is so there was a strong academic component to it as well. So that recital was essentially a performance based on the research that I'd been doing for my thesis, which was also part of that particular master's program. And it kind of came together in a rather unusual way. I was both playing and singing and lecturing in that recital, which was kind of an odd format, but it came about as a result of my interest in translating, and in particular coming up with singable translations of German repertoire. And yeah, that's been my research area of research interest, and it's continuing on now as well.
Great, yeah, I mean, it was a fabulous recital. And I remember it was really fun. You kept referencing your pianist, as if it was some sort of different character. I found that quite funny.
He's been a continuous source of irritation for me over these past few months.
So similarly, Isolde has kind of transitioned into a new phase in her life. Beginning in September, she's starting out at UVic in voice, but obviously just finished high school here in Victoria. And Isolde, you were in that graduating class that, well, it was when everything got really weird. Can you just say a bit about what that was like for you?
Yeah, it was sort of surreal, and I'm still kind of like processing it sometimes. Our high school, Esquimalt High School, had, I think, one of the best distance grads of any that I've heard of from my friends. Someone's just making some sound in the kitchen. We had, everyone was in their cars with like streamers and blasting music, and we all kind of drove past the school and got our little diplomas. So it was actually a really sweet way to come together, and I was pretty grateful for that. But yeah, in terms of transitioning to university, people always ask me like, man, it must be so weird doing that during COVID. And I said, I didn't know what to expect anyways, so it would have been new regardless. I've had a good experience though, I think, better than some.
So lots of learning online right now.
Yeah, although the music department is lucky to have lessons and some small ensembles in person, which has been, I feel so lucky. A lot of my friends are in engineering and science, and they're 100% online, and no one loves that.
Well, and the large ensembles are online as well.
Mm-hmm.
Choir practice online.
Yep.
Yeah. Kyron, you're getting to teach online, hey?
Yes, I've been doing that since, I guess, well, probably April now. And both at the conservatory, and I've got one online student at UVic as well. And it's interesting. I find for singing, it actually tends to work fairly well. In that you have to think a little bit differently, and you're listening for different things. But for the most part, as long as there's a good relationship between the student and teacher, it seems to work more or less no matter what the format is.
Nice. I just want So part of the reason why we do these check-ins is so that people can just get to know you in a different kind of way other than in being a musician. And Kyron, I'm aware from being a friend with you on Facebook that in addition to being a musician, you're always also a very talented photographer. I mean, people might actually be able to tell from looking at the quality of your webcam versus mine. That's a good quality camera, and mine's not. What is your subject matter?
So yes, that's an interesting point. So most of the time I photograph spiders. My two sort of, I guess, most apparent hobbies are macro photography, the photography of small things and details, and arachnology, the study of spiders. And I combine the two whenever I can. So I've been doing that for, I guess, 10 years now. And it's been a hobby, but it's also been of an area of research. I've contributed to a few scientific publications and a couple of field guides as well. And I've been working on this project to photograph all of British Columbia's spider species. I've so far gotten about 150 species into it, but there are over 700 left to do.
Wow. That's impressive. So do you have to go to do you have to sort of go to the far reaches of the island to find some of these species that you haven't yet found yet?
That will be the case. I've sort of exhausted the species that are in my local area. There might be a few lurking around here, but I think I've got most of them. But yeah, many of the other species are in other parts of BC and in other habitats.
Wouldn't it be great if you could somehow combine that love of photography and arachnology with your love of Schubert and German pronunciation? I don't know. Have you conceived of a recital involving a spider?
Yes, actually. There are a few
Oh,
songs. I've actually sung one of them. It's from a Schumann set. I've forgotten the name of it. But it's a song that has a spider in it. And there are a few other German songs that also reference spiders as well. So
what?
that's something for the future.
Here's a pop quiz. What's the German word for spider?
Spinne.
Good to know. That's fantastic. Isolde, you were just telling me before we started recording that you're into chickens and videography. Can you say more about that?
Yes, so I also have been able to combine my love of classical music with my love of the animal world. One of my great masterpieces is Vivaldi's Gloria, but it's videos of my chickens. And you'd be surprised by how wonderfully they come together. Yeah, I have 2 chickens and 1 duck right now. Our flock has been much larger at times, but it's a lifelong passion to me. Sometimes I practice singing to my chickens, and I always say if you can keep a chicken interested in music, you can keep an audience.
That's funny. What's their favorite kind of music to listen to?
They actually, I've had success with French folk songs. They seem to really like those.
Right.
Genuinely.
And how about you, Isolde? What's your favorite? If the chickens like French folk music. You like Vivaldi's Gloria, but what's your favorite type of music to sing? Do you I don't know.
Yeah.
That's sort of an open-ended question.
I really fell in love with early music, singing in the Victoria Children's Choir and the Pacific Baroque Festival. I just love the warmth of period instruments and chamber music where you can kind of hear what each part and each instrumentalist is doing. And it's lovely music to sing as well. I also play the ukulele, so I kind of write my own little like pop tunes, and I write songs for piano, but I always say they're all very calm, slow songs because that's just, I can't play piano very fast.
Right. And so you mentioned the VCC. We were talking about this the other day as well. How has it's such a great experience singing in that choir. How has your experience in doing that informed the way that you prepare for a rehearsal now as a young professional musician?
so much. I think it's been really crucial. Just the level of kind of professionalism that choir expects. I mean, the VCC is sung for, you know, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge official welcome ceremony, you know, so they, you know, they really expect you to be on time and know your music and, you know, dress appropriately. And it also really instilled in me like a sort of practice, what's the word? You know, you need to practice if you're showing up to rehearsal. But I think really almost more important than that is knowing kind of the finer details of what it means to be a professional, you know, performer. It is those little details, like, you know, having your black socks or what have you, that I think can make a much better impression than.
And your pencil.
Oh my gosh, your pencil, preferably 3.
That's great. Well, listen, both of you, thank you so much. As I said, we get to see and hear you sing at the Cathedral week in, week out, and we so much appreciate your dedication to the community. But for me, it's really just nice to get an opportunity to find out a bit more about you as people and what you do when you're not with me in the Cathedral offering worship. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donald.